push, but he doesn't have +1. His +1's not up yet, so that's a big mistake from Much. He's late with the +1 upgrade, and if he was going to go for this kind of timing push, he really should have timed his +1 weapons upgrade. For those of you who don't know, +1 weapons actually kills Zerglings in 2 hits as opposed to 3 hits without the +1 upgrade. So that's kind of a big deal. Maybe it's going to finish while he's at his push right here, but who knows, we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, just like you said, Hero got his Evo chambers out, you know, I wouldn't say early, but definitely on time. So that +1 is not really going to match, or it's not really going to beat Hero's armor, and I think Hero's going to be able to match his +1. So it looks like Hero right now, only some Zerglings and Scourge. And, you know, Much doesn't even have his robotics out. It's just about to finish, and then he's going to get some observers out. But he really can't do anything to these lurkers. You know, once again, looks like he's just trying to take a third base here with this army. So it's not like he's going to get too aggressive here. And Hero, I'm really surprised in that action there. He sniped a pylon. You know, he lost, you know, a handful of Zerglings. I guess maybe that expansion is, like, trapped in there where he couldn't have gotten out with those Zerglings. But I'm kind of surprised that he sent them all in there and then lost them. You know, every unit counts here. If he saves those Zerglings, that can be a few extra drones he can make, or, you know, he could have kept those and done some harassment. But he's got the lurkers out, and Much really can't play aggressive here, so he's going to take a third base. And looks like Hero is just sticking on 3 bases for now, not attempting to take a 4th. He does have the lurkers out before observers, so I think he could take a 4th if he wanted to. So it looks like he's just going to be pumping some units and getting some upgrades. And I'm not really too sure how much that lurker really contains Much. I think he really could go out there, but he's going to lose that gateway at the very least.
Oh, he got the observer out, so it's not a problem. He's not even going to really lose the gateway. I think it definitely by.hero should have gone for a 4th. It's not really a lot of money for a Zerg at this stage of the game to spend 300 minerals on another hatchery. Mostly what you really want is gas to build lots of lurkers. As you can see, pure Zerglings don't really do a whole hell of a lot. by.hero just basically wasting. Okay, here's a lurker drop. Oh wow, that was a lot of probes. Oh man, this is brutal. Oh, he's gotten at least 10 probes there, no problem. This is really hurting his economy. What a move by by.hero. That Much is shaking his head in disbelief. He can't believe he just let 12 probes die to a 2 lurker drop behind his natural. One of the most obvious, you know, one of the moves that's featured very prominently in the book of ZVP. Pretty common move. But by.hero keeps throwing away Zerglings. I mean, he might get this Archon here, but either way, he's losing all those Zerglings. He's not going to do any damage to the third base of Much. And I don't see by.hero taking a 4th base yet. I mean, he's got to take a 4th base sometime soon if he wants to keep up. He just needs to do it.
Yeah, it looks like he's just putting down the hatchery there for the 4th base. You know, just as you say it, there it goes. And, you know, he's got Overlord speed and drop. So, and he's just constantly making Zerglings. He's just pumping out Zerglings. I guess he realized that Much didn't get that early +1, so I guess, you know, he's trying to get as much out of his Zerglings as possible. You know, maybe saving up some gas. I assume he started Hive Tech by now, or at least about ready to do that.
Yeah,
but now Much has that third base. And, oh yeah, okay, so looks like, I'm guessing that's Dragoon range, so it looks like Much is going to try to get some Dragoons out here, and he might, you know, try and go on the offensive here and start taking out by.hero's expansions. And by the looks of it, you know, although Hero has just been committing a lot of larvae to units, all he's been making is Zerglings, and like you said, he's just been getting them slaughtered, although he still has a, you know, a very high drone count. Not to say he's really, you know, but look at all those Zerglings. It's just like, he's just making a lot of them, you know, but they're not really doing anything. He doesn't have, the crack upgrade's probably coming out here pretty shortly, but he's really letting Much build up a lot of forces here, although he is taking some of them out. But Overlord looks like he's just doing some scouting there. First, you know, the Koreans were freaking out because of a drop, but... And I
really think he's going to do a 2 lurker drop into the main.
Yeah. I don't know, he did it to the expansion, it works pretty well.
But it's only really good at killing probes, right? You're not going to do a whole lot of damage to buildings. I don't really see what the point of this attack with the Zerglings is. I don't really know what he's accomplishing there. I mean, he's basically just throwing away Zerglings to kill cannons, and there's no reason that Much really needs those cannons. He actually probably did Much a favor there, clearing up space so Much's army gets out easier. Much going for these temples here, probably so he can get to the base really quickly. I was kind of hoping we would see some neutral buildings destroyed. Oh wow, it's a counterattack by by.hero, so that's why he sent those Zerglings in. Oh, he's trapped all these goons. All those goons are going to go down and take it over.
Alright, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, so Hero, you know, really forcing Much to keep a lot of forces near the middle and the top of the map while Much is taking down those temples. And Hero looks like he's going to go for Nexus Snipe, so he's going to force, yeah, he's definitely going to get that Nexus. Much doesn't have any Storm to take out those Zerglings. And Much trying to preserve as many probes as possible, but, you know, I guess Hero is getting some worth out of his Zerglings. You know, he's been taking out those cannons, he took out that Nexus, and he's, you know, been keeping Much's unit count down a little bit, and Much has some cannons there, so he's really prepared. Hero, it looks like, might do a lurker job, and still just so many Zerglings. He's got the Ultralisk Cavern, and he probably has the +1 coming soon, or the +2 armor, excuse me. And just, wow, so many Zerglings. He's going for the Forge, and it looks like he's going to cancel Much's +1. Now the Zerglings have the crack upgrade, kill buildings so fast. And it looks like going for Templars. I'm not sure if you were watching, but he did take out the natural expansion Nexus after he got those cannons. And he's just been picking off Templars. So I think Hero's definitely gaining a lead because he's got his 4th base online, and he really, you know, he's got Ultralisk, he's got the +2 armor. Yeah, he's really actually doing a lot of damage with his Zerglings now as opposed to the mid.
Tearing him apart. I think that's pretty much winning him the game. I mean, he getting that Nexus at the natural was big. Canceling an upgrade is big. And not only that, but he also picked off like 2 or 3 Templars there as well. I mean, Zerglings are pretty cheap. Once a Zerg has a good amount of money, Zerglings are not much of an investment. He's just causing all sorts of havoc here. I mean, this is really annoying.
That is crazy. And 1 overboard with Zergling.
And very annoying. Because the worst part about this is not even the damage that it can do, but if those of you who watched the Savior Bisu game when Savior was constantly dropping on Bisu's base, the effect that it really does is it makes the Protoss scared to leave his main. All of a sudden the Protoss can't just roll out with his entire huge army and just run you over. He has to keep units in his main to protect his base. So, I mean, Much is making an attack here, but half of his Zealots are still in his base. Even though it looks like he's going to do damage here, it's going to be much easier to hold this attack by Hero because Much just can't even send his whole army. You see, he's just constantly sending reinforcements and Zerglings, and even though Much won the initial battle, all the reinforcements that he's been able to send are keeping him from losing that base. And he's going to consistently pump out Zerglings, and he's still dropping. He's made another drop. Oh man, that was a lot of probes. Much is not happy. He looks pretty pissed off. His base is getting ravaged right now. As you can see what I was talking about earlier, he's still got like 12 Zealots in his main base, but it doesn't do anything because those little cracklings just take down buildings so incredibly quickly. I mean, he's already lost a whole bunch of cannons and probes and everything just from that miniature little...
Yeah, that is just rough, too. As we saw, you know, both players really lost their whole armies. But just like you said, Hero's just totally stopping Much's ability to reinforce. While Hero's just, I think he's got at least 8 hatcheries at this point with 4 gases. And his reinforcements are just streaming in. And you know, pretty soon here, he's going to break Much. Much has that 3rd base pretty well defended, but it is on a low ground. And Much probably just getting his natural expansion online. But we see now only 1 Archon and a few Templar, and he's not going to be able to reproduce those, you know, because he lost his Templar archive. So he really has to be careful. You see both of those Templar already used up all their Storm, morphed into an Archon, while Hero can just, you know, keep producing Ultralisk, and eventually, you know, Much is just going to run out of units here. He just, you know, even if he could survive here and keep his bases alive, I really just can't see him taking another base at this point. He's just, you know, too much pressure on him.
No, I mean, the way things are going right now, there's no way that Much can keep up with the pace that Hero was setting in terms of constantly attacking and being able to send his units everywhere all over the map and reinforce. It's just a matter of time before Much is worn down and he breaks down as his bases run lower and lower in minerals and Hero just keeps whittling his army down. I mean, you can build a giant ball of army with Protoss, but if the if the Zerg has a good income and he's just constantly attacking, he's just constantly whittling that army down. And now this is going to be the final move here. He flanks the army, totally just slaughters him. It was a merciless slaughter there, tons of Ultralisks, and that's pretty much going to be the end of that. Much can't come back from this. He's going to lose that natural Nexus again. There's pretty much nothing he can do to prevent it, and there's no way he's coming back in this game. So I'm expecting GG any minute now.
Yeah, late game Ultraling, you know, Much didn't have the +1, GG coming from Much. He didn't have that +1, he lost his Forge there. You know, really good Zergling play. just as opposed to lately we've been seeing in ZVP. Not to say that's unstandard, but usually we've been seeing a lot more Hydralisk play. You know, we did see just a little bit of Lurkers, but for the most part, I mean, Hero played that game with pure Zerglings. So definitely some good play there. I think he really worked the map. I think, like we said at the beginning of the game, just a lot of base distance, a lot of space, and just with the speed Overlord drops, with the Zergling speed and crack, you know, he really kept map control there with all those Zerglings. He didn't use any Hydralisk that whole game.
Yeah, that's what that base distance really allows Zerg to do, is the longer the distance is between everything on the map, the more Zerg has that mobility advantage. I mean, Zerg units are faster, and the more distance there is to cover, the more that enhanced speed comes into play, and that's really what, I mean, Hero used that really well to his advantage, and that's really what did it in for Much. And Much looks pretty disappointed. He looks pretty upset about that. I think he was expecting to beat this new young Zerg player, so he looks pretty pissed off. And I think that's the story of the game. So any final thoughts?
Yeah, so we got Hero and Yarnak as the next match, the 3 set, so a little bit of ZVZ.